Hey, welcome back to edtech by Meera, and today we are going to do an improvisation of or rather an extension of our previous tutorial last week. That was, remember, the bingo card. So this time we are going to play the bingo game. The bingo game. Okay, this is a very simplified version which was formatted or made by Replit for the 100 days of code in Python. So I'm following that tutorial structure. Okay, this is actually day 44 of 100 days. Okay, so let's get started without wasting much time. So we import, as usual, the random for generating random numbers, OS for pausing and time for pausing the screen, OS for clearing the screen, and time for pausing. Okay, so bingo card, some of the part is similar to the previous tutorial because it's an extension of that. So bingo card, we start off with an empty list. Then after that we have to define the random numbers as previously. So defined random number will be random number is a function here. So how do we define it? Using the define function. So define keyword. So define keyword and then the random number as a function, whereby this particular random number or number, we call it, is a variable, is going to be, so number as a variable is going to be random.randint 190. So that means this, we are using the randint inbuilt function to generate random numbers or integers rather between 1. So the lowest number integer is 1 and the highest integer is 90. So that's the idea of using this randint function for generating the random numbers, and we call this value number, which is a variable here, and then you return the number. So this is what is in your defined random number. Then we also need to define the pretty print, because as I told you earlier in the previous tutorial, pretty print function is used to have the output in the particular format that is expected by you, whereby we will be stating how it is to be printed out. So define pretty print, where pretty print is a function here. So what is in this function? We are using the for loop. So for row in bingo card. So for every row that you are having in the bingo card, what's going to happen? Again, within that, a nested for loop, 4 item in a row. So you have rows and then items, right? So for every row in bingo card, in which you have for every items in that particular row, that's the loop, nested loop. What you need to do, what is the task? You have to print the item. But then here you specify in this for, you want the items not like we did it previously. That was ugly. You want it in a table format. So the code for that is print. You want the first parameter is item, and the second parameter will be end equals backslash t, and then this straight line and backslash t. So this, if you use this, what happens is the output will be in a table format. So we will see as we print out, and then use the print function to execute this command. Yeah. So there you go. You've already defined the pretty print here. You've defined the random number. What else is there to define? You need to create some more functions and variables. You need to create card, right? So that was what we hadn't done last time. So define create card. Yeah. Now here we use the keyword global bingo card. Why? Because as we know, in Python, you can use the global keyword also inside the function. And in this particular scenario, if you use the global keyword inside the function, what happens is if you change the value of the variable bingo card, inside the function, when we change the value, then it does not throw up an error. So that if you don't want for it to throw up any error, you need to use the keyword global. So that's the reason we are using it here. Okay, then then we consider or create another variable called numbers and give it an empty list value. So numbers equal to empty list. Yeah. Then we use the for loop inside this function. So for I, where I is the index, in a range of 8, because remember in the table there are 8 items, 3 items in each row. So I in range 8, we create another variable called number input. So number, now you can give it different names. I gave it num input. So num input is actually what? Is the input, the number that is input by the user when playing the game, when we give the offer of input the number. So num input is going to be random number function. Why? Because it's going to be randomly random numbers which are generated. And how do we define it? While num input in numbers, so using the while loop, num input will be the random number function, yeah, and numbers dot append random numbers. Then after that, you need to sort the numbers. That we've seen it already in the previous tutorial. So numbers dot sort after coming out of the loop. So why do you say numbers dot append random? Because once the random number is generated, you need to append it to the numbers empty list. So that's why we are appending it there. Okay. Now, after you sort out, after the sorting, what you do, now you need to also create the formatting for the bingo card, right? So bingo card, just as we did it last time, if you remember following in every row there are 3 items with the index. Starting index is 0, next index is 1, and so on. So same as we did in the previous tutorial. Yeah, I will leave the link of the previous tutorial in the description below. So numbers with 0 index, comma, numbers 1, index 1, then index 0, 1, 2. So first row is complete, as you can see. Now we get, so if, as I mentioned earlier, it's a 3D list. Yeah, you can see list within list. Sorry, 2D list. It's a list within a list. So first we create the list for the first row, then the second list is for the second row, third list for the third row, and so on. And every row is following the index in that order. So index 0, 1, 2 finished in the first row. Next row, index 3, obviously in the chronological order. Now, for the next one, we cannot say 4 because in the center you have bingo written or BG, whatever you call it. So, you cannot give that an index because you can only give index according to your loop for the numbers. Bingo is a string. So, numbers, index 3, then after that, followed by 4. So, in the center, you have bingo, BG, some letter written. Yeah. So, now your second row is complete. So 0, 1, 2 index taken up, 3 and 4 taken up, center one being bingo, the string written there. Now for the next row, so keep on writing the next list, which is, as you can see, every list has the square braces. It's within a square brace outside. Okay, so next one is numbers 5, index 5, then numbers index 6, comma, and then numbers index 7. Now, actually, there are 8 items including bingo, right? But the numbers are 7 numbers and then 1 string. So that's why it's 8 items. So for index in a range of 8, so that explains the whole thing. So the formatting of the bingo card now is over. So this is how we want it to look in the output when we make the final table. So that's why we just created the bingo card here. Okay. What else to do? Okay, so until here is clear. We've created all these variables, the num input, the bingo card, the numbers, the number. Okay, the next one is, okay, now when we say create card function, so we already created the we already did the create card function above, so we are just calling the create card function after doing the design for the bingo card, so that it will print it out. Then after that we do the while loop, so while true loop. Yeah, because we need to implement this thing what we did above. So while true, always in Python it's like that. So while all these above conditions are true, while true, what you need to do, you need to pretty print, right? Okay, so do the while true loop, within which you will do the pretty printing or the pretty print. So while everything else is true, it will implement the pretty print function. That's the meaning of this. And then you need to again write the value. So you already defined num input above. That is going to be the range of input, the random numbers, but you explain it here further. The num input variable, how you are going to get the value, it's going to be integer input. So that means it's when you use the inbuilt input function and the integer function. Integer function meaning it's going to generate integer. Input function meaning it is user generated. So input function and the parameter, you are going to print out the string. What's the next number or next number please, so that the user can call out the next number. And then based on that, that value, that's going to be the num input. So num input is a user generated random number input by the user whenever asked to input. So I hope you understood this. And then you use the for loop. So inside the while true loop. So for row in range 3. Now range 3 means, like, you know, like every row has like 3 items, right? So for a row in range of 3, and then inside that 4 item, again the nested 4 item in range 3, because this is a 2-dimensional one. What happens if the bingo card, the row with the row in that particular index, an item in that particular index, is going to be that num input. That means whatever the user generated number is going to be, the integer is going to be, if that happens to be the one which is already there present in that particular row, which is the item in that particular row in the bingo card, means already present there, then what happens? Then it will be replaced, the bingo card of the whatever number. Let's say it was already 21, then the user said 21. If it is same, then that in that particular bingo card row item, that item in that row, you will replace it with, the game will replace it with an X. So that's what they are going to say. So that's the game about. So if I say the number as a user, if I enter the number, when I'm prompted with next number, if I enter the number which is the same as is present in that particular row, same item, same number in that particular row and that position, then that number will get replaced to an X. So this is a game about. So this is how you code it. If bingo card row item, so this is showing the index position, equals means exact value is going to be the num input. And you know num input is the user number generated when he is prompted to enter the number. So then the bingo card row item equals X. So you have to write that in a string. So now you understood. for row in range 3, for item in range 3, if bingo card, the item, that particular item with the index in the particular row equals to be the same number that is generated by the user, the num input, that is input by the user. If it is the same value, then the bingo card, that meaning that number or that item in that particular row with that index will be replaced. That number, item means that particular integer in that row, will be replaced with an x, whatever be it. Whether if it was 100 in that position 2 and then I say 100, it becomes 100 becomes x, in other words. Okay, so now what other variables you need? You need to calculate the number of x that is generated, that is there in the table that you created, meaning how many numbers in that process of the game, how many numbers got replaced by x. You need to count that, right? So you need a counter. So what I do is I start the counter with an initial value of 0. So I call the variable like number of x. You can call it whatever. You can even say counter. So number of x equals 0, start initial value, because before starting the game. Then once it is done, you do the game starts. You also need the for loop. So for the row in bingo card, so this is the for loop here, and then the nested loop within that for item in row, because you are going to be talking about replacing the item in the row. So for item in row. Okay, so this is nested loop, all of it. Again within that, a nested if. So if item equals to the value of x. So that means the process that I explained above, all that number in that particular row item, the number, instead of a number, if that item is going to be an x, right? Not the number. Then only if because we don't want to count the integers, we only want to count the x's, the x items that are there. So only if that item in that row happens to be an x for that particular row, then number of x plus equal to 1, meaning number of x equals number of x plus 1, meaning the counter increment every time the number integer going to be replaced by x, this counter will keep counting. Okay, 1x, another number got replaced by x, next number got replaced by x, and then it will set off a counter in which it will keep on counting how many times the particular numbers for the particular rows got replaced by x. That's why we use the for loop, that for item in row, if item's value is x, then only it will do the work of the counter in calculating the number of x's, like how many x's are there being replaced, being generated in that table, like how many x's got in the table. It will keep on incrementing 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So if number of x equals to 8, that means once you count the number of x 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if all of them gets converted to 8, in that all the numbers gets replaced by 8, then you calculate the number of x. If it happens to be, the count happens to be 8, means there you go, the user, you tell the user print, you won the game. So this is the game concept. The game concept is all about entering the number, and if when prompted, and if the number if the number happens to be the same, like which is already there in that particular position in the table, then that number gets replaced by x, and based on the x's, it will count the number of x's by using the loop here, for loop. And if there are eight x's means, then we declare the winner, and then we break the game. Time dot. So pause, 1 minute pause, and then after 1 minute pause, the screen will clear. So that's why os.system clear. So every time there will be between the tables generated, you will see that when you run the game, pause for 1 second, and then clear. So this is the idea, and then you can check it out. Wow. Let's see. Let's play the game. So this is called the bingo game. Okay, so I will make sure that I'll be doing more such Python tutorials in future, trying to debug here. And then if you haven't already, subscribe, make sure you subscribe and tell your friends about it and share it with your friends who are learning Python. And if you're already subscribed, thanks for staying subscribed, and remain subscribed and share my Python videos to support me in this venture, Python venture. Okay, so something's wrong, because remember, Python indentation errors and typo errors are very famous. So you have to keep on trying hard and check and debug and keep on running it several times until it gives the proper value. Okay, so I think I'm okay now. Maybe some spell mistake. Let me see. Okay, there you go. I got the table. There, you can see the X, the numbers being replaced. X, X, X. Whenever, you can test it out by calling out, by entering the right numbers, which is already there in the table. And that's how you can test it out. See, every time I enter the number which is already in the table, it gets replaced by X. As you can see here, yeah, there you go. Again, 23, there you go. Bingo, X. So now if you can write bingo or you can write BG, that's up to you. I just wrote BG just to beautify, because there are 2 digits or 1 digit, not more than 2 digits, so that's why. But it's up to you again. Okay, so next number again, 38. See there, 38 got replaced by X. Again, 55 got replaced by X. And if you don't say the right number, it won't get replaced. And you can keep on playing until you say or enter the correct number, which is already there in the table. So this you can, so you have won. There you got the statement here that you have won. So that means the code is successful, and you've won the bingo game. You have won the bingo game. Now I want you to win the Python journey. So if you want to win the Python journey along with me, stay tuned, stay subscribed, and share and like my video to support me, and see you in the next. Until then, what you can do is you can practice this code. I'll be leaving the code, source code, in the description below, so that you can practice a lot. And if you have any questions, do mention in the comment section, so that I can help you if there's any doubt. And see you in the next. Stay subscribed, smash subscribed, smash